Today, throughout the day on July 23, war correspondents reported alarming news for the Ukrainian General Staff. As it turned out, over the past 24 hours, Russian troops have achieved another significant success almost along the entire combat contact line. In particular, Ukrainian and Russian war correspondents confirmed that under the onslaught of Russian troops, the armed forces of Ukraine were forced to retreat from the northern part of the strategically important settlement of Sinkovka, located northeast of Kupiansk. In addition, numerous war correspondents, who are in Chasiv Yar direction of the front, officially stated that the Ivanova paratroopers conducted a successful attack on the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine, north of the city of Chasiv Yar. It is reported that as a result of this attack, a fairly extensive area of territory came under the control of Russian troops. This territory is located near the settlement of GRIGOROVKA. In particular, war correspondents claim that as a result of this lightning attack, Russian troops managed not only to approach the outskirts of the strategically important settlement of GRIGOROVKA, but also to take control of 5 square kilometers of territory, in the space between such settlements as Bogdanovka, Kalinovka, and Grigorovka. It is reported that the depth of Russian troops' advancement was 2 kilometers. Commenting on the next success of the Russian army in Chasiv Yar direction, military experts admitted that the presence of Russian paratroopers on the outskirts of Grigorovka will allow Russian troops not only to deliver constant artillery strikes on the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine located in this village, but also to deliver targeted strikes on the northern routes of the Ukrainian army, which it uses to supply the grouping of the Ukrainian armed forces in Chasiv Yar. By the way, in Chasiv Yar itself, the situation of the armed forces of Ukraine also continues to deteriorate rapidly. According to the latest data, Russian troops began to storm the positions of the Ukrainian army on the west bank of the Seversky Donets Donbass water channel. It is reported that Russian troops are attacking the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine and foreign mercenaries in small groups, in order to create a foothold on the western bank of this water channel. At the same time, military experts admit that after the armed forces of Ukraine lost the Canal microdistrict, the Seversky Donets Donbass water channel remains the only natural obstacle in the way of the advancing Russian troops. Experts claim that if Ukrainian troops lose their positions on the west bank of this water channel, the pace of Russian troops' advance deep into Chasiv Yar will accelerate significantly. In the Pokrovsk direction of the front, Russian troops continue to clean up the recently liberated settlement of Progress. At the same time, it is worth noting that Ukrainian and Western military experts are still in a state of shock. They still cannot understand how the Russian army managed to capture this strategically important settlement in just 2 days of fighting. A well-known Ukrainian expert and military blogger, Yevgeny Daiky, admitted that the Kiev authorities were confident that Russian troops would be bogged down in the battles for the settlement of Progress. However, unfortunately for the Kiev authorities, the Ukrainian armed forces fled from this settlement on the second day after the outbreak of hostilities. At the same time, experts note that the settlement of Progress was defended by the best and most combat-ready units of the armed forces of Ukraine. In particular, we are talking about the 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and the 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade under the designation Magura. These brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine consist of well-motivated and experienced ardent nationalists. However, even these well-armed ardent nationalists could not restrain the advance of Russian troops, and shamefully fled the settlement of Progress. Against this backdrop, Ukrainian telegram channels and war correspondents said that the most painful thing is that the armed forces of Ukraine are retreating in almost all directions of the front, even though Russian troops have not yet launched full-scale offensive operations. In particular, Ukrainian war correspondent Konstantin Mashavets said that the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine had not recorded the transfer of additional Russian forces to the battlefield for a long time. And despite this, Russian troops continue to capture settlements in almost all directions of the front. Everything that is happening on the battlefield is very disturbing to Ukrainian experts and war correspondents. Even Ukrainian propagandists have stopped being ironic about the speed of the Russian army's advance. Now, Ukrainian propagandists are openly panicking and do not hide their despair, trying to find those responsible for the loss of such a large number of settlements. Meanwhile, details have emerged of a missile strike on the port of Odessa, which occurred in early July this year. As you remember, on July 11th, I posted a video on this channel where I described in detail the destruction of a classified weapons depot in the port area of the city of Odessa. Back then, the coordinator of the partisan movement in Ukraine, Sergei Lebedev, said that as a result of a direct hit by Iskander ballistic missiles at the port of Odessa, not only a classified weapons depot of the armed forces of Ukraine was destroyed, but also 18 British mercenaries. And now, almost 2 weeks later, new details of this missile attack have emerged. In particular, a military expert and a retired colonel of the Spanish army, Pedro Baños, citing his own sources in the military department of Ukraine, said that during the missile attack on the port of Odessa, 18 British fighters of the elite unit of Special Air Service were killed, and 25 more fighters were seriously injured. Moreover, Pedro Baños also stated that along with the British fighters, a certain number of active duty soldiers of the French army also were destroyed. The death of British fighters of the elite unit of Special Air Service was also confirmed by authoritative military experts Konstantin Sivkov, Yevgeny Podobny, and a number of independent British journalists. It is reported that it was these British fighters of the elite unit of Special Air Service who had been planning sabotage operations in the area of the Crimean Peninsula, Sevastopol, Zankoy, and the Crimean Bridge.